You're still locked in at your Feel Good Breakfast show, of course, and we're celebrating International Youth Day. And now with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's forced our children to stay at home for an extended period of time. And this has led to boredom, sadness, and I'm sure a lot of frustration amongst our youth. But there are a number of ways to keep children happy and mentally stimulated while at home. Yeah.
Definitely.
So that's why Chairperson of Social African Association for Social Workers in Private Practice, Paula Hildebrand, joins us via video call to tell us more about it. How are you doing this morning, Paula?
Thank you so much for having me on your show today. I so look forward to talking on this such an important topic. So thanks for having me.
Truly, truly important, because children are currently not, I don't want to say stuck because that has a negative connotation, but they are currently at home because of the lockdown. What types of personal challenges are the children currently facing, you know, in the context of South Africa during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Quickly, I'm seeing so much in my practice as a social worker that the children have higher anxiety levels. The whole sense of normal has changed incredibly. Nothing is what it was. And just finding a change in the stimulation of the environment has created a lot of stress for them, as well as a lot of families are experiencing extreme stress due to the financial changes, as well as the restrictions that have come about because of COVID. Children are also extremely concerned about the health aspects of COVID.
I think that's so important. Now, I mean, I can only imagine as a kid, I would honestly probably just lose my mind and go crazy being kept up in the home because I want to be everywhere. But what are some of the activities that can kind of maintain mental stimulation for kids while at home?
Well, unfortunately, I'll never give you a straight answer on that one, because the context of it is that a child that's emotionally secure and settled has a much more chance of having a stimulated brain. So the first point of call, I'd speak about creating safety emotionally in the home with the parents, the family, the siblings. It makes the brain so much more receptive to learning. And it's a lovely opportunity to learn new skills, to learn a language, to discover new crafts, creativities, even learn an instrument. But a lot of it is learned from the family dynamic. I've had so many parents say to me, but I can't teach, I'm not a teacher. How am I going to keep my children stimulated? They're going to go back to school a little bit dimmer than other kids. That is so not true. The learning they get from just being part of a family, playing board games, deep conversations, or talking about historic things that have happened in the family creates such a stimulating environment for children's brains. EEGs have proven this, that deepening relationships stimulate the brain more than anything else. So creating a context where children are seen and heard and engaged with creates an environment for learning. Besides that, I really would encourage a lot of outdoor activities, walking as a family. We're still allowed to do that, which is a relief, and a certain amount of safe engagements, be it social distancing, masks, that kind of thing, to be mindful of the fact that children's strongest need at the moment is for social engagement. And it's extremely difficult for them to know where they fit into the world without understanding their social context. So some of it is within the family, but some of it's also their little friends or older friends, depending on the age of the children. So engaging in technology for social reasons is actually very important at this time. But I do encourage parents to monitor that and be part of it and to enable it in a very healthy manner, to understand what are the good manners that go with digital environments, and also what it means to be responsible and safe working in those spaces.
I love that you touched on the fact that, you know, the family plays an important part in creating a safe space for children to feel heard and seen, because at the end of the day, as human beings, we are social beings. So to create that kind of environment for them to keep stimulated, especially when they feel kind of confiscated in a small space every day, 24 hours, can be a little frustrating. You've also touched on, you know, the importance of social media, technology. We're in a world of social media. It's dominating. How much time should our children be spending online and on their devices in general?
Quickly, this one's been kind of messed with because devices are no longer just for fun, but they're also for school or for work and to engage with their teachers and their peers. So it's hard to regulate it in this environment. So if I have to broadly talk around technology, I think the starting point I'd like to say is look at the ages of the children, and I'll talk through that piece now, but also to consider what is the digital space replacing? Is it taking away good sleep? Is it taking away time to play outdoors, or conversations where they talk face to face? Because then it does become harmful. But if it has its right place, it can be incredibly valuable for the children to engage healthily with digital platforms. So let me get to the ages part, because I think this is the one parents always kind of ask me, how much time is good time and how much is not?
Yes.
There's no real answer, but I'd like to say that the under twos really shouldn't have any digital stimulation. Their little brains cannot process what is real and not real on that level, and their heightened learning comes from engagement, from unstructured play and contact with their caregivers. I do encourage video chats for those special goggles that they can't see, or people that need to see them, as the family dynamic is so dispersed at this time. We know how that is with our grandmothers and the like. So that kind of space, as long as it's explained to the child, so it's never done without the adult being present to explain the context. And then we go from a little bit older up until 2 years old, or thereabouts, 2.5 years old, I'd still really engage with the child. They cannot work out 2D to 3D. So what they see in a 2D space, they cannot work out how that applies to the real life of 3D. Once again, the parents' involvement in teaching about life, 3 to 5, they need to know how to apply that knowledge. So there are lovely educational programs out there. If it says education in the App Store, be mindful it might not be educational. So just use your discernment with that. But at the same time, co-viewing is so important. Explaining how those principles apply to real life. How does that become applicable to their growth? And then slowly, as they go on 6 years and up into high school, just giving them a context of what is healthy and age appropriate for the time they're at. But I would like to say 5 or 6 year old, I would never give them more than an hour a day. I like to go on 15 minutes per age per year, but people think I'm a bit conservative, and there's some parents that might hate me for that comment, because it's really nice to plonk a child in front of something. My view is, let's put focus on what we can add to the child's experience despite the digital space. They need to hear your sound of your voice. They need to see your eye contact. They need to see what you laugh at and what you cry about, to discern what their life's about. So digital is incredibly helpful to learn. There's incredible material out there, the exposure to the world. The ability to learn and grasp and change is phenomenally enhanced with digital things. But let's not use the wholesomeness that defines our culture in South Africa. We are incredibly tight, loving families. The Ubuntu that we are part of and care for each other can't be lost in the modern technology that we're working with.
I love that.
I don't know. I think I've spoken around a lot of issues there. I don't know if there's something you want me to add.
What you said is truly important, and we are so grateful to be having this conversation with you, Paula. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. I don't know if we've just lost it there, unfortunately, but Paula coming through with such incredible knowledge when it comes to our kids. And of course, with it being International Youth Day, we'd obviously like to thank Paula Hildebrand so much for sharing her knowledge and, of course, the advice on parents and how to keep our kids happy and mentally stimulated while at home during this lockdown and, of course, during these testing homeschooling times.